Opening day joys against the tractor boys, and the boss shows he can make some noise. And is it wise to have made no buys? In fantasy there's no stop, as we zoom straight to the top. The good, the bad and the ugly for the 24-25 season, game week number 1, brought to you by the LFC File. Roll the intro, Diogo. Welcome back, one and all, for the latest episode of the Good, the Bad and the Ugly at Liverpool FC podcast, brought to you by the LFC File and myself, Mr. Ben Green. Thanks for stopping by. This is the first edition of the brand new spanking Premier League season of 2024 and 25. And there's a couple of bits of news to bring you for the website and the LFC File in general. So please stick by to the end, especially for the fantasy football update, because there is some special news to share. As usual, remember, like, subscribe, press the notification bell so you know when the next episode is going to be available. So I'll begin with by saying that on the LFC File website, as the followers and those that subscribe will know, there is a shop page, and in addition to that, I've got also a good reads guide, which you can see here, which is basically 4 or 5 books, which I think are a good read. So if there's one that you know of that you would like to be included in that list or added to the list, then of course let me know by whatever it's going to be, DM, message, WhatsApp, whatever, and I'll do my best to include it. So without further ado, let's get into it with the good. And the good this week can only be the opening day win against the Tractor Boys, newly promoted Ipswich, yes, at Portman Road on Saturday. So good to start off with a win, even more special that it's Arne Slots' first league game as Liverpool's new head coach. So it was nice that we got the win. Goals by Diogo Jota, assisted by Mr. Salah, and Mr. Salah himself scoring as well, both goals in the second half to give Liverpool what turned out to be a reasonably comfortable win, although a lot was made about the first half where Liverpool kind of huffed and puffed, and it seemed as if, as we'll come on to shortly in the not bad, that the slot machine cranked up the volume a bit, maybe at half time, in order to get the boys in another gear. But credit to Ipswich, as Arne Slots said after the post-match press conference. I think it's easy to overlook these newly promoted teams, but they've been promoted for a reason. And Kieran McKenna has done a very good job in the last couple of seasons in getting the team promoted from League One and then from the Championship into the Premiership. So that can't be overlooked. They haven't done it by fluke. They're obviously a half-decent side, so it's good that Liverpool overcame that tricky obstacle to start the season. I think they played pretty well, actually, and the team, they're playing a slightly different way. I think for the untrained eye, you probably won't notice, but I think they're passing the ball a little more in the final third. I think the first goal was absolutely a typical example of the way Liverpool are playing, some very quick, fluid passes, and a nice through ball for Diogo Jota to slot in and do his crocodile celebration. So that was a nice one, and very good to get the result. Can't complain. Here I've got the Independent, Arne Slots' Premier League life with a glimpse of Liverpool's newest superpower. And then we've got Carl Matchett going on to say Ipswich 0, Liverpool 2. New Reds boss wins first game thanks to Jota and Salah goals. And this superpower being referred to by Mr. Matchett is basically, as I've just said, it's Liverpool passing the ball a bit more in front of the opposition the opposition goal and also in central areas, and just being a bit more patient. So yeah, a good result to start the season for the Reds, and moving swiftly on to the not bad. And for the not bad, I've got this here from Sky Sports: ruthless Liverpool subs, straight talking, slot analysed. And they go on to say goals from Diogo Jota and Mohamed Salah made it an ultimately comfortable exercise at Ipswich for Arne Slots on his Liverpool bow. But the new boss played his part in the 2-0 win with a smart half-time substitution. And in the post-match interviews, you got the impression, reading between the lines, so to speak, of what Arne Slot was saying, that he probably had a few words at half time and got the players to sort of up their intensity and their desire to get behind the Ipswich team and really try and put them under some pressure. You can see that we saw Daryl Quansah was substituted off at half time. He was given a bit of a torrid first half. Can't be ignored. And Ibrahima Konate came on to shore up the defence and just add that little bit more composure and maybe experience, you can say, as well, to the back line. So yes, it seems as if Mr. Slot is no walkover, and it's nice that the players responded accordingly. So he's a very amiable guy, it seems, and he's also someone that can give a bit of a bark, it seems, when needs be. I don't think there are any teacups thrown, to use the old the old methods. But I think he probably had a few words and maybe ruffled one or two feathers, hopefully. So that's for the not bad this week, and I think not bad it is. Moving swiftly on to the ugly. And the ugly this week is what has been made, a lot has been made of Liverpool not actually signing a player so far this season, or making any in-transfers anyway. I always think a bit too much is made of that, to be honest. I've got the Mirror here with a headline: Liverpool star makes dressing room feelings on lack of new signings clear amid fan anger. Chris McKenna, I think no relation to the Ipswich boss, goes on to say Liverpool are the only Premier League club, indeed the only club in the top 4 English leagues, not to sign a player this summer. But new boss Arne Slots kicked off his regime with a 2-0 win at Ipswich on opening day. One could look at that. I think we can't ignore the fact that Liverpool have had one particular player in mind who they weren't able to get, and so I don't see any point in them just going and spending a not insignificant amount of money, which will run into no doubt the tens of millions, to bring in a player simply to appease the likes of Mr. McKenna here and Mr. Average Joe fan, who just thinks that money falls out of the sky and we should be picking up any named midfielder or number 6 that they wish to mention. I actually think it's good Liverpool have gone with the, well, if we can't get who we want, then we don't take anyone. I'm on board with that. There's the likes of young Bacitic, who is back now. So he's like a new signing, in effect. Let's see how this pans out. We have Wataru Endo as well. Let's not forget. I think there's a bit too much made of that. And returning to the usual format before we wrap up, I'm going to go over the fantasy football situation for the start of the season. The FC Bumpy Grastard have had their name changed due to, how can I put it, a takeover. and they are now called FC Aki and Saltfish, or FC Haki and Saltfish, for those who know the Jamaican patois dialect, let's put it that way. But for those that don't, FC Aki and Saltfish, as you can see, I've got a major haul this week of 90 points, and I have to say I'm very happy with that. A huge contribution was made by Mr. Salah. I opted not to go for what's his name over at City, Haaland. I did make quite a few changes actually to the team that I published a few weeks back. Of course, Alexander-Arnold is there, Gabriel is in now, Guardiola as well, Jota, as well as Saka. So yeah, it all turned out pretty well. Havertz 12 points, the same from Saka as well. Yeah, fairly decent haul of points this week. And moving on to the leagues. It's only the Düsseldorf Super League that has continued so far. I think the Open Public Leagues, they start from Gameweek 2. But as you can see, in first position is the one and only FC Hakia Saltfish. What can I say? A fairly comfortable lead. It has to be acknowledged over the merely mortals there. In second place with 67, so quite a way behind. And yes, I'm very pleased with this. For anyone that plays fantasy football, I think you'll acknowledge that the start is the most important thing. Obviously, you need to be consistent and make sure you make your transfers as and when you can, diligently, of course. But yes, the start is very important, that you remain there or thereabouts over the course of the season, because it is a marathon and not a sprint. And as far as I'm aware, I won't be crowned champion after week 1, sadly. So there you go. There's another 37 game weeks to go. So let's see how that turns out. But so far, so good. And I'm going to wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for stopping by. It's much appreciated. As I mentioned at the top, please do subscribe and like, of course, press the notification bell, and let's continue to grow the community. Another couple of subscribers came on last week, so thank you very much for joining. As I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, do have a look at the Goodreads page of the LFC File website, and you'll see that that there are a few notable and very interesting titles actually. I'm going to get one myself actually. Certainly the Jurgen Klopp book seems most interesting, so I'm going to have a read of that. So any bookworms out there, please do fill your boots. And with that, folks, we reach the end of this first game week episode, and enjoy the sunny weather we're having here in NWE, as they call it, or Northwestern Europe, whatever you want to call it. But it seems very nice this week and next week. The outlook is very nice at long last, so I'm going to be able to have a go on the old motorbike, I think, this week. Looking forward to that very much. So as always, look after yourselves, look after one another, and peace until next time. UNFC.